want to say to all of you, thanks for coming to ESD 112. This Poetry Out Loud competition truly is one of my favorite events. I look forward to it, and I think the first time that I sat in 3 years ago, I was just amazed at the talent that is represented in these students, and I don't think I've spent a more enjoyable hour ever than the time that I spend listening to your interpretation, so I want to thank all of you. You know, this competition begins at the classroom level, progresses to statewide, and then to regional, state, and the national in Washington, D.C. I bet you all know that. The 12 students competing here tonight have worked hard to memorize and to recite the poems that were chosen from an anthology of close to 600 poems. The Washington State Arts Commission, with the National Endowment for the Arts, and we here at ESD 112 are the sponsors of this event. The top two from what occurs here tonight will move on to the state finals in Tacoma on March 8th. And tonight we welcome students from 12 schools: Battleground High School, Camas High School, Cedar Tree Christian, Hayes Freedom High School, Heritage High School, Hawkinson High School, La Center High School, Prairie High School, Ridgefield High School, Stevenson High School, Trout Lake School, and Vancouver School of Arts and Academics. A welcome to all of you who are parents, teachers, friends, and general supporters, and to the judges who are going to be introduced to you by our communications specialist here at ESD 112, Kelly McPherson, who has also been the prime mover and shaker in getting this event organized. So Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you. And welcome everybody. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes. We appreciate all of you being here tonight to celebrate the exceptional work of these regional students. As Dr. Barnes mentioned, this is my third year being involved with the Poetry Out Loud program, and it's definitely one of the highlights of my year. I really enjoy working with teachers, and I was excited to see what the students have in store for us. We know it's going to be a very exciting evening. All of tonight's participants have worked for many months perfecting their poetry and have competed against their peers in school and classroom competitions, earning their spot in tonight's regional finals. Please help me in recognizing the accomplishments of all of our students and making it to tonight's event as a representative for their local high school. This evening would not be possible without our judges, so I'd like to take a minute to introduce them to you. First of all, we have Christopher Luna, who is the Poet Laureate for Clark County. He is the co-founder with Tony Partington of Printed Matter Vancouver. Their books include 2 anthologies featuring poems from Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, which was founded in 2004, and Serenity in the Brutal Garden, which was a debut collection by Vancouver poet Jenny Power. Next to him, we have David Roberts. He is a local theater actor and director, and not only is he currently directing Romeo and Juliet at the Magenta Theater in downtown Vancouver, but he also has a recurring background role as a detective on NBC's Grimm. So if he looks familiar, you may have seen him on TV. And thirdly, we have Rebecca Anstein. She has had a long career as a visual arts specialist. She has been a longtime educator, teaching everything from 1st grade through 12th grade, college courses for Portland State University, and even spent time overseas in Bangkok. She was also one of the founding teachers of Vancouver School of the Arts and Academics. Our accuracy judge for this evening is Tanya Boyer. She is a communications and business development manager here at ESD 112. A couple notes about tonight's program. Our judges will be scoring each recitation on several criteria. There will be lots of different things that they will be looking for in our students' performances: physical presence, their voice and articulation, their dramatic appropriateness, the level of difficulty of their poems, how well they appear to understand their poems, and also their accuracy. Each student will recite 2 poems, so we will have 2 rounds of competition with a short break in between. We will conclude our evening with the announcement of the 2 students who will be advancing to the statewide competition. Again, thank you for being here. We know we have an exciting night of poetry ahead, and we're glad that you are here to share it with us. With that, I would like to go ahead and begin the first round of our poetry recitation by calling up Maggie Baker.
I am the people, the mob, by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I'm the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come from me, and the Lincolns. They die, and then I send forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground. I am a prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me and makes me work and give up what I have. And I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself, and spatter a few red drops for history to remember. Then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday and no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any fleck of a sneer in his voice or any far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then.
Next up, we have Erin Bell.
This is To the Ladies by Lady Mary Chudley. Wife and servant are the same, but only differ in the name. For when that fatal knot is tied, which nothing can divide, when she the word obey has said, and man by law supreme has made, then all that's kind is laid aside, and nothing's left but state and pride. Fierce as an eastern prince he grows, and all his innate rigor shows. Then but to look, to laugh, to speak, will the nuptial contract break. Like mutes, she signs alone must make, and never any freedom take, but still be governed by a nod, and fear her husband as a god. Him still must serve, him still obey, and nothing act, and nothing say, but what her haughty lord think fit, who with the power has all the wit. Then shun, oh shun that wretched state, and all the fawning flatterers hate. Value yourselves, and men despise. You must be proud if you'll be wise.
Alyssa Ferguson.
Backdrop addresses Cowboy by Margaret Atwood. Star-spangled cowboy, sauntering out of the almost silly west. On your face, a porcelain grin. Tugging a papier-mâché cactus on wheels behind you with a string. You are innocent as a bathtub full of bullets. Your righteous eyes, your laconic trigger fingers, people the streets with villains. As you move, the air in front of you blossoms with targets, and you leave behind you a heroic trail of desolation. Beer bottles slaughtered by the side of the road. bird skulls bleaching in the sunset. I ought to be watching from behind a cliff or a cardboard storefront when the shooting starts, hands clasped in admiration. But I am elsewhere. Then what about me? What about the eye confronting you on that border you are always trying to cross? I am the horizon you ride towards, the thing you can never lasso. I am also what surrounds you. My brain, scattered with your tin cans, bones, empty shells, the litter of your invasions. I am the space you desecrate as you pass through.
Hannah Foster.
Across the Bay by Donald Davy. A queer thing about those waters. There are no birds there, or hardly any. I did not miss them. I do not remember missing them, or thinking it uncanny. The beach so-called was a blinding splinter of limestone, a quarry outraged by hulls. We took pleasure in that, the emptiness, the hardness, of the light, the silence, and the water's stillness. But this was a setting for one of our murderous scenes. This hurt, and goes on hurting. The venomous soft jelly, the undersides. We could stand the world if it were hard all over.
Next, we have Kylie French.
Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out on the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air, where the, oh man. Where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen, you can hear the grating roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand. Begin and cease, and again begin with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. And in this sound we find a thought, hearing it by the distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too on the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdled furlard. But now I only hear its melancholy, long, withdrawing roar down the night breath of the night wind, vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for in this world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath neither joy nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain, and we are here on this darkening plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Thank you.
Next, we have Andrew Henson.
Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. A free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Thank you.
Next, we have Phoebe Judd.
All Why Because the Dazzling Sun by Emily Bronte. All why because the dazzling sun restored my earth to joy, have you departed everyone and left a desert sky? All through the night your glorious eyes were gazing down in mine, and with a full heart's thankful sighs I blessed that watch divine. I was at peace and drank your beams as they were life to me, and reveled in my changeful dreams, like petrel on the sea. Thought followed thought, star followed star, through boundless regions on, while one sweet influence, near and far, thrilled through and proved us one. Why did the morning rise to break so great, so pure a spell, and scorch with fire the tranquil cheek, where your cool radiance fell? Blood-red he rose, and arrows straight, his fierce beams struck my brow. The soul of nature sprang elate, but mine sank sad and low. My lids closed down, yet through their veil I saw him blazing still, and bathe in gold the misty dale, and flash upon the hill. I turned me to the pillow then, to call back night, and see your worlds of solemn light again throb with my heart and me. It would not do, the pillow glowed, and glowed both roof and floor, and birds sang loudly in the wood, and fresh winds shook the door. The curtains waved, the wakened flies were murmuring round my room, imprisoned there till I should rise, and give them leave to roam. O stars and dreams and gentle night, O night and stars return, and hide me from the hostile light that does not warm, but burn, that drains the blood of suffering men, drinks tears instead of dew. Let me sleep through his blinding rain, and only wake with you.
Next, we have Cassandra Gossman.
Memory as a Hearing Aid by Tony Hoagland. Somewhere, someone is asking a question, and I stand squinting at the classroom with one hand cupped behind my ear, trying to figure out where that voice is coming from. I might be already an old man, attempting to recall the night his hearing got misplaced, Front row center at a battle of the bands, where a lot of leather-clad, second-rate musicians, amped up to dinosaur proportions, test drove their equipment through our ears. Each time the drummer threw a tantrum, the guitarist whirled and sprayed us with machine gun riffs, as if they wished they could knock us, quite literally, dead. We called that fun in 1970, when we weren't sure our lives were worth surviving. I'm here to tell you they were, and many of us did, despite ourselves, though the road from there to here is paved with dead brain cells, parents shocked to silence, and squad cars painting the whole neighborhood the quaking tint and texture of red jelly. Friends, we should have postmarks on our foreheads to show where we've been. We should have pointed ears or polka-dotted skin to say what we were thinking when we hot-rodded over God's front lawn and death kept blinking. But here I stand, an average-looking man, staring at a room where someone, blonde in braids, with a beautiful belief in answers, is still asking questions. Through the silence in my dead ear, I can almost hear the future whisper to the past. It says this is not a test, and everybody passes. Thank you.
Carlos Lurkey.
Check. All right. Eating Poetry by Mark Strand. Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. The librarian does not believe what she sees. Her eyes are sad, and she walks with her hands in her dress. The poems are gone. The light is dim. The dogs are on the basement stairs and coming up. Their eyeballs roll. Their blonde legs burn like brush. The poor librarian begins to stamp her feet and weep. She does not understand. When I get on my knees and lick her hand, she screams. I am a new man. I snarl at her and bark. I romp with joy in the bookish dark.
Sky Ring.
What to Say Upon Being Asked to Be Friends by Julian Talamantes Brolaski. Why speak of hate when I do bleed for love? Not hate, my love. But love doth bite my tongue till I taste stuff that makes my rhyming rough. So flatter I my fever for the one for whom I inly mourn, though seem to shun. A rose is arrows, is arrows. So what if I confuse the shade that I've become with wine-dark substance in a lover's cup? But stop my tonguely wound, I have bled enough. If I be fair or false or freaked with fear, if I my tongue in locked box immure, blame not me, for I am sick with love. Yet would I be your friend most willingly, since friendship would infect me killingly. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Shannon Schaff.
All Hallows Eve by Dorothea Tanning. Be perfect, make it otherwise. Yesterday is torn in shreds. Lightning's thousand sulphurize, rip apart the breathing beds. Here bones crack and pulverize. Doom creeps in our rubber treads. Countless overwrought housewives, minds unraveling like threads. Try lipstick shades to tranquilize fear of age and gentle dreads. Sit tight, be perfect, swat the spies. Don't take faucets for fountainheads. Drink tasty antidotes. Otherwise, you and the werewolf, newlyweds.
Now we have Elizabeth Williamson.
Abandoned Farmhouse by Ted Kuzer. He was a big man, says the size of his shoes on a pile of broken dishes by the house. A tall man, too, says the length of the bed in an upstairs room. And a good, God-fearing man, says the Bible with the broken back on the floor below the window, dusty with sun. But not a man for farming, says the fields cluttered with boulders and the leaky barn. A woman lived with him, says the bedroom wall papered with lilacs and the kitchen shelves covered in oilcloth. And they had a child, says the sandbox made from a tractor tire. Money was scarce, says the jars of plum preserves and canned tomatoes sealed in the cellar hole, and the winter's cold, says the rags in the window frames. It was lonely here, says the narrow country road. Something went wrong, says the empty house in the weed-choked yard. Stones in the field say he was not a farmer. The still-sealed jars in the cellar say she left in a nervous haste. And the child, its toys, strewn in the yard like branches after a storm. A rubber cow, a rusty tractor with a broken plow, a doll in overalls. Something went wrong, they say.
So that concludes the first round of our competition this evening. Students, great job so far. So we will convene back here. We're going to take a short break, and we'll convene back in here in about 10 minutes to get started with round two. There are some refreshments right out in the hallway that you are welcome to. So we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Thank you. We will be going in reverse alphabetical order. So our first person this round will be Elizabeth Williamson, Vancouver School of Arts and Academics.
My Grandmother's Love Letters by Hart Crane. There are no stars tonight, but those of memory. Yet how much room for memory there is in the loose girdle of soft rain. There is even room enough for the letters of my mother's mother, Elizabeth, that have been pressed so long into a corner of the roof that they are brown and soft and liable to melt as snow. Over the greatness of such space, steps must be gentle. It is all hung by an invisible white hair. It trembles as birch limbs webbing the air, and I ask myself, are your fingers long enough to play old keys that are but echoes? Is the silence strong enough to carry back the music to its source and back to you again as though to her? Yet, I would lead my grandmother by the hand through much of what she would not understand, and so I stumble. And the rain continues on the roof with such a sound of gently pitying laughter.
Next, we have Shannon Schaff with La Center High School.
Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I've not been as others were. I've not seen as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From that same source, I have not taken my sorrows. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. In all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn, from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still, from the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliffs of a mountain, from a sun that round me rolled in its autumn's tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.
Now we have Sky Ring with Battleground High School.
This is Epitaph by Catherine Phillips. On her son, H.P., at St. Synth's Church, where her body also lies interred. What on earth deserves our trust? Youth and beauty? Both are dust. Long we gathering are with pain, with one moment calls again. 7 years childless marriage past. A son is born at last, so exactly limbed and fair, full of good spirits, mien and air as a long life promised. Yet, in less than 6 weeks, dead. Too promising, too great a mind, and so small room to be confined, therefore as fit in heaven to dwell, he quickly broke the prison shell. So the subtle alchemist cannot with Hermes' seal resist the powerful spirit's subtler flight, but will bid him long good night. And so the sun, if it arise half so glorious as his eyes, like this infant takes a shroud, buried in a morning cloud. Thank you again.
Carlos Lurkey with Stevenson High School.
Dirge in Woods by George Meredith. A wind sways the pines, and below, not a breath of wild air. Still as the mosses that glow on the flooring and over the lines of the roots here and there, the pine tree drops its dead. They are quiet, as under the sea. Overhead rushes life in a race. As the clouds chase, and we go, and we drop like the fruits of the tree. Even we, even so.
Phoebe Judd, Hayes Freedom High School.
Okay, sorry. Fairy Tale Logic by A.E. Stallings. Fairy tales are full of impossible tasks. Gather the chin hairs of a man-eating goat, or cross a sulfuric lake in a leaky boat. Select the prince from a row of identical masks. Tiptoe up to a dragon where it basks and snatch its bone. Count dust specks, mote by mote. Or learn the phone directory by rote. Always, it's impossible what someone asks. You have to fight magic with magic. You have to believe that you have something impossible up your sleeve. The language of snakes, perhaps an invisible cloak. An army of ants at your beck, or a lethal joke. The will to do whatever must be done. Marry a monster. Hand over your firstborn son.
Next, we have Andrew Henson with Camas High School.
Meeting at Night by Robert Browning. The gray sea and the long black land and the yellow half moon large and low, and the startled little waves that leap in fiery ringlets from their sleep as I gain the cove with pushing prow and quench its speed of the slushy sand. Then a mile of warm sea-scented beach, 3 fields to cross, till a farm appears. A tap at the pane, the quick, small scratch, and blue spurt of a lighted match. Then a voice less loud through its joys and fears. Then the 2 hearts beating, each to each.
Next, we have Cassandra Gossman with Cedar Tree Christian School.
On Virtue by Phyllis Wheatley. O thou bright jewel, in my aim I strive to comprehend thee. Thine own words declare wisdom is higher than a fool can reach. I cease to wonder, and no more attempt thine height to explore or fathom thy profound. But, O my soul, sink not into despair. Virtue is near thee, and with gentle hand would now embrace thee, hovers o'er thine head. Fain would the heaven-born soul with her converse, then seek, then court her for her promised bliss. Auspicious Queen, thy heavenly pinions spread and lead celestial chastity along. Lo, now her sacred retinue descends, arrayed in glory from the orbs above. Attend me, Virtue, through my youthful years. O leave me not to the false joys of time, but guide my steps towards endless life and bliss. Greatness or goodness, say what I shall call thee. To give an higher appellation still, teach me a better strain, a nobler lay. O thou enthroned with cherubs in the realms of day. Thank you.
Next, we have Kylie French with Ridgefield High School.
The Coming of the Plague by Weldon Keys. September was when it began. Locusts dying in the fields. Our dogs silent, moving like shadows on a wall. And strange worms crawling, flies of a kind we had never seen before. Huge vineyard moths. Badgers and snakes abandoning their holes in the field. The fruit gone rotten. Queer fungi sprouting. The fields and woods covered in spider webs. Black vapors rising from the earth. All these and more began that fall. Ravens flew round the hospital in pairs. Where there was water, we could hear the sound of beating clothes all through the night. We could not count all the miscarriages, the quarrels, the jealousies. And one day in the field, I saw a swarm of frogs, swollen and hideous, hundreds upon hundreds sitting on each other, huddled together, silent, ominous, and heard the sound of rushing wind. Thank you.
Next, we have Hannah Foster, Prairie High School.
I will be reciting The Cities Inside Us by Alberto Rios. We live in secret cities, and we travel unmapped roads. We speak words between us that we recognize, but which cannot be looked up. They are our words. They come from very far inside our mouths. You and I, we are the secret citizens of the city inside us. And inside us, there go all the cars we have driven and seen. There are all the people we know and have known. There are all the places that are, but which used to be as well. This is where they went. They did not disappear. We each take a piece through the eye and through the ear. It's loud inside us. And here, and when we speak in the outside world, we have to hope that some of the sound does not come out, that an arm does not reach out in place of the tongue.
Now we have Alyssa Ferguson, Heritage High School.
The Destruction of Sennacherib by Lord Byron George Gordon. The Assyrian came down like the wolf on the fold, and his cohorts were gleaming in purple and gold. And the sheen of their spears was like stars on the sea when the blue wave rolls nightly on deep Galilee. Like the leaves of the forest when summer is green, that hosts with their banners at sunset were seen. Like the leaves of the forest when autumn hath blown, lay host on the morrow, lay withered and strown. For the angel of death spread his wings on the blast and breathed in the face of the foe as he passed, and the eyes of the sleepers waxed deadly and chill, and their hearts but once heaved and forever grew still. And there lay the steed with his nostril all wide, but through it there rolled not the breath of his pride, and the foam of his gasping lay white on the turf and cold as the spray of the rock-beating surf. And there lay the rider, distorted and pale, with the dew on his brow and the rust on his mail. And the tents were all silent, the banners alone, the lances unlifted, the trumpet unblown. And the widows of Asher are loud in their wail, and the idols are broke in the temple of Baal, and the might of the Gentile unsmoked by the sword hath melted like snow in the glance of the Lord. Thank you.
We now have Erin Bell, Hutchinson High School.
Revenge by Letitia Elizabeth Landon. I gaze upon her rose-wreathed hair and gaze upon her smile. Seem as you drank the very air, her breath perfumed the while. And wake for her the gifted line that wild and witching lay, and swear your heart is as a shrine that only owns her sway. 'Tis well, I am revenged at last. Mark you that scornful cheek. The eye averted as you passed spoke more than words could speak. I now buy all the bitter tears that I have shed for thee, the racking doubts, the burning fears, avenged they well may be. By the nights passed in sleepless care, the days of endless woe, all that you taught my heart to bear all that yourself will know. I would not wish to see you laid within an early tomb. I should forget how you betrayed and only weep your doom. But this is fitting punishment, to live and love in vain. Oh, my wrung heart, be thou content and feed upon his pain. Go thou and watch her lightest sigh, thine own it will not be, and bask beneath her sunny eye, it will not turn on thee. 'Tis well, the rack, the chain, the wheel, far better hast thou proved. Even I could almost pity feel, for thou art nor beloved.
And now we have Maggie Baker with Trout Lake School.
Ovation by Carol Musk Dukes. I try to make myself afraid, the way you must have been afraid. Stepping out onto this stage, but with a fear so pure, so perfectly informed that you strode out shouting. Here, where the neon yellow arrows painted on the floor shoot forward underfoot in blackness, beneath the hanging sequence of tinted skies, out toward that mindless, immortalizing light. Now dark. Now I think I feel the heat you must have felt, rising from the front rows. A gaping fire door, a furnace, your single body standing here with no shadow, swinging on itself. Had you been a fool, you might have thought they loved you. They never love you, you said. They are hungry for the God in his gold eclipse, the pure you on fire. John and I move quickly, each with a handful of ash, scattering. The sound of no sound falling into the cracks in the boards, the footlights, the first row. A small, personal snow. A prince of dust, a villain of dust. Each part you played drifting up again, recomposing. I open my hand. I let you go. Back into the lines you learned, back into the body and the body's beauty. Back into the standing ovation. Bow after bow after bow.
So that concludes the competition portion of our evening tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to some great poetry. Students, you did a fantastic job. Your hard work is over. So now hopefully you can all take a little bit of a deep breath and enjoy the rest of the night. I know we're not quite there yet, but we're going to take probably till about 6:20, so about 12 minutes or so, quick break to finish tallying all the scores, and then we will come back so we can recognize all of our finalists this evening and also announce the 2 that will be advancing to the state competition. So hopefully we'll see you back here in about 12 minutes. So we've enjoyed a great night of poetry, and I think we're ready to start the recognition portion of our evening tonight. First of all, I definitely want to thank all of our judges for lending their time and their talents for being here tonight. We couldn't have done this event without you, so thank you again for being here. I also want to extend a very special thank you to all of the teachers, community members, and friends that have supported all of these students and help them to get to tonight's event. So thank you again for being here. I know that it means a lot to our students, so we appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight. So we know the students did a fantastic job tonight, so we would like to recognize all of our participants first, and once we do that, then we will name the 2 finalists that will be advancing to the state competition. So students, as I call your name, please come up, and then we want you to all step up on stage, and we're going to get a great group picture of all of our participants this evening.
Maggie Baker. Erin Bell. Alyssa Ferguson. Hannah Foster. Kylie French. Cassandra Gossman. Andrew Henson. Phoebe Judd. They're going to have to squeeze on the stage. Carlos Lurkey. Hopefully we can fit you all on the stage. Sky Ring. Shannon Schaaf. And last but not least, Elizabeth Williamson. So students, if you could kind of maybe move together a little bit so we can get a group photo. Let's give another round of applause for all of the great work this evening. So as we mentioned earlier, the two competitors that receive the highest overall scores will be advancing to the statewide Poetry Out Loud competition, which will be held on March 8th in Tacoma. So we do have two finalists advancing, and they will be announced in no particular order. So the first person that will be advancing to the state competition is Carlos Lurkey. And the second one is Elizabeth Williamson. Come on. Thank you again to all of our students. You did a fantastic job this evening. I know we all enjoyed listening to some great poetry, so hopefully we'll see you all again next year. Thank you for your support.